Making bone broth is great for your health. It's very simple to do. I love doing it. I keep all my bones, so if I buy a slow cook cut and I cook that up in a slow cooker, the bones that are left over I store in the freezer. I also buy bones as well from the butcher, from ethical farmers. When I get those, I get $3 a kilo. They come with heaps of meat on them, and collagen and connective tissue and all the goodies and fat. So I'll usually just slow cook the bones first with all of that on it, and as a meal I'll pick all of that off the bones and then keep them. So that way I'm not wasting that, and then when I do make bone broth it's just the bones and then all the actual nutrition that's inside the bones. So this one's been going for I think almost 72 hours now. The first 24 hours I poured the water out, just left it on low the whole time cooking. Then I got the first batch out of it, and it was probably around 3 kilos or 4 kilos of just bones, and I've got about 1.5 liters there. So then and I've been having cups of it with every meal as well. It's such a great resource. It's often wasted. I mean, so many people throw the bones away after they've cooked with them once, but I always keep them after, and you still get so much thick collagen rich gelatin with all the glycine, proline, all those great things for your gut, for your skin, that you really can benefit from. And people, go out and buy bone broth, or they, buy supplements to try and get all of this nutrition into their body, but it's often just thrown away. And it's such a simple thing to do. If you get a cheap, inexpensive slow cook, I always make sure you get one that has a ceramic part inside, as opposed to any of the different non-stick metal inserts. I much prefer this, so that way cooking with that, I'm not going to end up with that those residues in the food that I'm having, especially when you're using it so frequently like I do, and then also because you're cooking for such a long time. So after I finish the second batch, everything's been poured out, so the bones, there's not much left over. I actually crush them all down, and then I use them in the composting process to grow herbs and veggies on the balcony. So it's just making sure that I really value and respect the life of the animal that's been taken for me, and then making sure that every part of it is utilized in a way that is going to bring me more health, and then also just respecting the environment and doing all of that stuff. So I'm just going to show you just a simple thing that I'll do. I just get just fresh ginger and turmeric. These are great, also anti-inflammatory. So I cut that up. I like cutting it up nice and small. It's got a nice bite to it. So some ginger. Turmeric, so it'll be quite rich. Years of overtraining, I've kind of beaten my joints up, and it's pretty easy once you've kind of pushed your body to such extremes that you have these different especially through your spine and all of the facet joints through there, the discs through there, have all been worked pretty hard. So I have the bone broth pretty much every day, and then lots of ginger and turmeric, so that way I'm always in the process of healing myself, balancing out the years of self-abuse and the quest for health. But I never did anything too extreme, but there's definitely, if I overdo it, I feel there's tension or inflammation, and I love training, so I'm never going to stop, but it's always finding a balance, and I find this really helps with my body's health as well. So it's win-win all the way around. So here I'll just chuck that in, and I'm gonna pour my broth in over the top of that. I never use salt when I'm making the broth, because you want the maximum pull on the bones from the water. So if you add salt when you're making broth, the water has so much salt in it, so you're not going to get the same mineral pull. Whereas if you just use this straight water, so I use a filter, it takes out everything, and then you're going to get a better pull and you'll get a richer broth. So this is also all the, you've got to think of the bones as well as organs. So the marrow that's forming inside all of the bones is very rich in nutrition. It's a storehouse of nutrition. People always think of the liver or the heart, or these other organs, or the kidneys, but the bones are such an important organ for the body, and for the animal's body. And now I'm going to make use of that nutrition and integrate it into my body so that I can be, oops, don't do that, super healthy. So get into it, keep it simple, doesn't have to cost a lot, and it's so healthy for you. This is going to be a bit too hot for me to sip straight away. Maybe it's okay. Oh, I love it. Awesome. To separate the broth from the bones, I've just got a ladle. I'm a bit lower down now in there, so I'm just tipping it to pour that out, and then separating that over. So I'm going to get the bones. As you get closer, it's going to get a little bit tougher, and then you'd have to pour through a colander to get the last part. But as I'm going along, I just kind of get the bones. If there's any connective tissue still on there, I'll just grab that. If there's some big chunks, otherwise I'm chucking all the bones into a pot here, which I'll then just crush. And if I get the bones off the top, the ones that have kind of seeped through because they're all still hot, as you can see, they just fall apart in my hands pretty easy, so they're not hard to crush at all. But I've got a mixture of pork, beef, lamb, chicken, duck, all the bones that I've collected in there. And to get the most out of it, I do the 72 hours, usually 48 to 72 hours, 2 to 3 days. But the first day I just poured it off, then I poured more water back in. And this is the second batch now, so I'm getting quite a lot. I'm probably getting around 5 litres of broth for about 3 kilos of bones. And these are all bones that have already been cooked already, so they're either in a slow cook or like a steak type thing, but mostly slow cooked. It's mostly what I do, that mince for all of the meals that I do. Much cheaper, much more effective to get all the nutrients that you're after. Then after that, that's going to go into compost. So it's crushed down. I add that with cardboard and kitchen scraps, so the ends of vegetables or whatever, and then that goes into the composter, a rotational composter, and then that's going to take around kind of 6 to 8 weeks to make some really healthy soil. And then I'm going to use that to grow some vegetables and herbs, and I do that on the balcony. Really simple system, very environmentally friendly, great for your health, and then you're kind of getting this cycle going. It's not the same as living on a farm, but in an apartment it's pretty good. So we can all play our roles in trying to figure this whole thing out to make it more sustainable and to get healthier, all of those things. Everyone's learning together. So this is just what I'm doing, and over time evolving to improve this kind of system, so that way I get more out of the animals' lives that are taken for me, and then I at least do something with that, with the work that I do, and then also try and value it as much as possible, and then return it to more life more effectively than currently what most people are doing, just because of the busyness of their lives, and how stressed they are that they're not even thinking about where their food's coming from and where their waste is going to. And it is quite a big step to be a bit more conscious, but it's a beautiful step to take. So enjoy it. See you next time.